Moving on, Venezuela's government has begun exploring the possibility of expanding diplomatic engagement with the United States. U.S. State Department officials traveled to Caracas to carry out technical and logistical assessments as part of early discussions on restoring formal ties. Multiple vehicles were seen departing the U.S. Embassy compound in the Venezuelan capital, signaling renewed contact between the two countries. Washington and Caracas entered what officials describe as exploratory talks aimed at reestablishing diplomatic relations, which were severed in 2019. Meanwhile, Venezuela's interim president said she held an online meeting with leaders from Brazil, Colombia, and Spain, during which she discussed what she described as a serious and illegal attack by U.S. forces that led to the seizure of Nicolas Maduro. She reiterated that Venezuela would continue to confront what she called aggression through diplomatic channels. The Venezuelan government also said that interim President Delcy Rodriguez has no international travel planned in the near future, following remarks by Colombian President Gustavo Petro, suggesting a possible meeting in Colombia. In the opposition camp, exile leader Edmundo González Urrutia said that any democratic transition in Venezuela must recognize what he claims was his victory in the 2024 presidential election, which authorities declared was won by Nicolas Maduro. Opposition figures based in Colombia expressed confidence that leader Maria Corina Machado remains central to efforts aimed at political change in Venezuela. This is despite a recent development.
People think Maria Corina was pushed aside, honey. Forget about that. Maria Corina Machado is the leader of Venezuela and all Venezuelans. She doesn't have the weapons. She wants a surgical intervention, and she always said it in quotes. She didn't want death. She wanted a surgical operation, and that's what's happening and will happen and is happening little by little. This intervention will go little by little. Trump knows what he's doing.
At the same time, hundreds of pro-government supporters gathered in the streets of Caracas, staging demonstrations in support of the deposed president Nicolas Maduro. Panamanians held a protest along the Avenue of the Martyrs. The demonstration rejected security agreements signed with the United States and coincided with commemorations of the January 9th, 1964 uprising.
What has happened in Venezuela with the intervention on Venezuelan sovereignty and the illegal arrest of a sitting president is an alarm. It's an alert that has been denounced internationally because just as it happened in Venezuela, it could also be happening in our country because it has already been declared that recovering the exclusive use of the Panama Canal is in U.S. interest.
Back in Venezuela, families waited anxiously for the release of prisoners. The relatives gathered outside the Heliocord prison in Caracas to protest and pray for the release of the detainees. The Committee for the Freedom of Political Prisoners called for a vigil at the site, widely regarded as a symbol of government repression. Authorities announced on January 8th that a significant number of detained opposition members would be released. However, nearly 30 hours later, non-governmental organizations reported only 8 to 11 releases, including 2 opposition figures and 5 Spanish nationals.